Imagine the gleaming towers of Silicon Valley, glass and steel monuments to innovation, progress, and the future. Venture capitalists in hoodies and sneakers, disrupting industries, changing the world. Billions in funding flowing to the next big idea. Encryption technology, artificial intelligence, blockchain, the digital infrastructure that powers modern civilization. Now imagine those very technologies, those very financial pipelines, powering one of the world's most brutal criminal empires, Los Chapitos. This isn't a dystopian novel. This isn't science fiction. This is a chilling reality of how cutting-edge technology, inadvertently or perhaps directly, has fueled the rise of one of Mexico's most dangerous narco-trafficking organizations. This is Obscura Crimes, and for the next few minutes, we're going to explore one of the most unsettling intersections of our time, where Silicon Valley innovation meets cartel brutality, where the tools designed to liberate humanity are being weaponized to enslave it, where the same encrypted networks that protect journalists and activists are protecting drug lords and murderers. This is a story of how Los Chapitos didn't just adapt to the digital age. They mastered it, and in doing so, they've become something far more dangerous than their predecessors ever were. To understand how Los Chapitos became a tech-savvy empire, we need to understand who they are. Los Chapitos, the Little Chapos, are the sons of Joaquin El Chapo Guzman, the legendary Sinaloa Cartel boss who was extradited to the United States in 2017. When El Chapo went down, his sons didn't inherit a traditional drug empire. They inherited a network, a brand, and most importantly, they inherited a generation of cartel members who understood that the future of narco-trafficking wasn't going to be fought with guns and violence alone. It was going to be fought with code and encryption. The Sinaloa Cartel, under Los Chapitos' leadership, has become what security experts call Cartel 2.0, a digitally sophisticated criminal enterprise that leverages the same technologies that Silicon Valley created to make the world more connected, more transparent, more efficient. And here's the paradox that keeps security experts up at night. The very technologies designed to protect privacy and freedom have become the cartel's most powerful weapons. Let's start with encryption. In the late 2000s, El Chapo hired a systems engineer named Christian Rodriguez to design an encrypted communications network for Sinaloa Cartel. This wasn't some crude, homemade system. This was sophisticated. This was professional. This was built by someone who understood network architecture, voice over internet protocol, and how to make a system that law enforcement couldn't penetrate. According to FBI testimony during El Chapo's trial, Rodriguez designed a system that used VoIP technology, similar to Skype or Google Voice, but with military-grade encryption. The system had multiple servers, redundancy, and was specifically designed to prevent law enforcement from intercepting communications. Cartel members could dial extensions to reach each other, or dial out to conventional phone numbers. All calls were encrypted. All calls were untraceable. For years, it worked perfectly. El Chapo could micromanage his entire operation from the mountains of Sinaloa. He could negotiate cocaine deals with Colombian suppliers. He could coordinate shipments across borders. He could order hits on rivals, all while believing his communications were completely secure. The system only failed when Rodriguez became an FBI informant. But here's what's important. The technology itself was sound. The encryption was unbreakable. The only way law enforcement got inside was through human betrayal, not technological weakness. Fast forward to today, and Los Chapitos have access to even more sophisticated tools. They use encrypted messaging apps like WhatsApp, Telegram, Signal, and Wickr. They use the Darknet. They use cryptocurrency. They've essentially weaponized the entire toolkit that Silicon Valley created for privacy and security. According to the DEA, cartels including Los Chapitos use encrypted platforms to coordinate logistics, expand reach beyond traditional borders, and maintain operational security. They're not just using these tools, they're mastering them. They're training their members in digital literacy. They're hiring IT experts. They're innovating faster than law enforcement can respond. But encryption is just the beginning. Los Chapitos have also embraced the Darknet, the hidden internet accessible only through specialized browsers like Tor. And they've done something that would have been unthinkable a decade ago. They've opened their own marketplaces. In 2022, Security researchers discovered multiple Darknet marketplaces allegedly affiliated with Los Chapitos and the broader Sinaloa Cartel. One marketplace, called Cartel de Sinaloa, used the same logo as the cartel's Facebook group, a red and black skull with Cartel de Sinaloa written underneath. The marketplace offered everything from drugs to weapons to human trafficking services. It required authentication to access, which meant it was designed to keep out law enforcement and casual browsers. Think about what this represents. A criminal organization that once operated in the shadows, using intermediaries and street-level dealers, is now operating openly on the Darknet. They're running what amounts to an e-commerce platform for narcotics and violence. The marketplace accepted Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. Customers could browse listings, place orders, and arrange delivery, all with near total anonymity. The cartel had essentially created an Amazon for drugs and death. And here's what's truly chilling. They're not alone. Other cartels have done the same thing. The CGNG, the Gulf Cartel, Los Urabinos from Colombia, they've all opened Darknet marketplaces. They've all embraced the digital economy. According to research from the Institute for Financial Integrity, cartels like Sinaloa and CGNG have integrated digital assets throughout their entire operation. Cryptocurrency is used to pay for precursor chemicals from China. It's used to launder drug proceeds. It's used to move money across borders instantly and anonymously. In 2023 alone, payments in cryptocurrency to Chinese precursor manufacturers increased more than 600%, reaching over $26 million. This is the digital supply chain of narco-trafficking, and it's growing exponentially. But Los Chapitos didn't just adopt existing technologies. They've cultivated a new generation of cartel members, young, educated, digitally native, who are actively innovating criminal enterprise. In Mexico, there's a phenomenon that security experts call geeks for the cartels. These are young people, often from middle-class backgrounds, who have grown up with computers and the internet. They understand code. They understand networks. They understand how to exploit digital infrastructure, and they're being recruited or coerced into cartel service. According to reports from a Mexican office of the public prosecutor, the Zetas cartel, which has connections to the broader Sinaloa network, employs communication experts who monitor government security forces and rivals using shadow surveillance systems. They evaluate information mined from blogs, Facebook, and Twitter. They use hacking tools to locate critics and rivals. They've essentially created a digital intelligence apparatus that rivals some government agencies. The number of kidnappings of telecommunications and IT experts in Mexico has skyrocketed since 2009. Around 30 members of telecommunications companies like Nextel and IBM have disappeared. Some were forced to work for cartels. Others were killed. The cartels understood something crucial. In the digital age, IT talent is as valuable as cocaine production capacity. One programmer was recruited for what he thought was a legitimate IT job in Mexico City. He ended up being forced to complete projects for a major drug lord. Another IT expert, known as El Técnico, designed a shadow communications and surveillance network that stretched across all of Mexico for the Zetas cartel. He employed a team of IT specialists to research and develop new tools for criminal enterprise. The cartels are paying premium salaries for this talent. According to hacker Carlo Martinez, who has studied cartel operations, recruits can easily earn 1 million pesos, roughly $60,000, in just 2 days. For young people in Mexico facing limited economic opportunities, that's an irresistible offer. Los Chapitos have taken this model and refined it. They're not just hiring IT experts. They're cultivating a culture of digital innovation within their organization. They're using social media to recruit, to propagandize, to coordinate operations. They're using facial recognition technology to identify rivals and informants. They're using drone technology to surveil law enforcement. Now, here's where it gets truly innovative. Los Chapitos and other cartels have discovered something that Silicon Valley created for convenience: ride-sharing and delivery apps. Uber, Lyft, DoorDash, Instacart. These platforms were designed to make life easier, to connect drivers with passengers, to deliver food and packages quickly and efficiently. but they've also created a perfect infrastructure for drug distribution. According to the FBI, drug cartels have turned to ride-sharing platforms because they allow criminal organizations to remain anonymous while moving guns, drugs, and cash. The beauty of the system is its simplicity. A cartel member creates an account. They request a ride or a delivery. An unsuspecting driver picks them up or picks up a package. The driver has no idea what they're transporting. And even if they're caught, the cartel member is protected by the anonymity of the platform. In Atlanta, Uber drivers reported being used as unwitting drug mules. One driver picked up a package that he suspected contained marijuana. Another found oxycodone pills in a delivery. In Washington, D.C., an Uber driver discovered what appeared to be oxycodone in a package he was supposed to deliver. In Arizona, a mother reported that her 22-year-old daughter died after overdosing on fentanyl that was delivered via Uber Connect. The FBI Supervisory Special Agent Bill Donaldson told investigators, "Drug cartels have turned to ride-sharing platforms because they allow criminal organizations to remain anonymous while moving their guns and drugs. They're also being used unwittingly to transport individuals who are going to meet up with individuals to sell narcotics, firearms, you name it. Anything that needs to be moved by these organizations. Certainly they could use these platforms to do it." Think about the genius of this system. Traditional drug distribution requires a network of street-level dealers, lookouts, and enforcers. It's visible. It's vulnerable to law enforcement. But with Uber and similar platforms, the cartel can move product with minimal footprint. The driver doesn't know what they're carrying. The customer doesn't know who they're dealing with. The platform itself has no way of knowing what's in the packages. Uber's policy prohibits drivers from opening or tampering with packages. So even if a driver suspects drugs, they can't verify it without violating company policy. And if they report to authorities, they risk retaliation from the cartel member who now has their name, photo, license plate, and vehicle description from the app. One Uber driver in Miami described the dilemma perfectly. Do we choose morality or do we choose our safety? You have to choose your safety. They have everything but your last name. This is a logistics revolution that Los Chapitos have embraced. They're not using traditional smuggling routes anymore. They're using the gig economy. They're using the same apps that millions of Americans use every day to order dinner or get a ride to the airport. But moving product is only half the equation. Los Chapitos also need to move money. Billions of dollars in drug proceeds that need to be laundered, hidden, and reinvested. Enter cryptocurrency. In September 2023, the U.S. Treasury Department's Office of Foreign Assets controlled designated Mario Alberto Jimenez Castro as a member of Los Chapitos faction of the Sinaloa Cartel. Jimenez Castro's crime? He arranged for U.S.-based couriers to collect cash in the United States and deposit it into digital asset wallets for payment to the cartel for reinvestment in fentanyl production. According to blockchain analysis, one cryptocurrency wallet associated with Jimenez Castro received $740,000 from March 2022 to February 2023. This was the first time the U.S. government publicly identified that cartels use cryptocurrency to launder drug proceeds. The system works like this. Drug dealers collect cash from street-level sales. That cash is deposited into bank accounts by money mules. The money is then converted into cryptocurrency, primarily Bitcoin and Tether stablecoin. The cryptocurrency is rapidly moved across borders through multiple wallets. Finally, it's either used to purchase more precursor chemicals from China, or it's cashed out at cryptocurrency ATMs, or through money service businesses. According to the Institute for Financial Integrity, payments in cryptocurrency to Chinese precursor manufacturers increased more than 600% from 2022 to 2023. The cartels are using the same digital infrastructure that Silicon Valley created to democratize finance and banking. They're using it to industrialize drug trafficking. And here's the truly insidious part. The cryptocurrency industry itself has become complicit. Some exchanges have minimal know-your-customer requirements. Some actively market themselves to criminals. Some use privacy coins that are specifically designed to hide transaction trails. Los Chapitos have essentially created a parallel financial system. They don't need banks. They don't need wire transfers. They don't need any of the traditional infrastructure that law enforcement can monitor. They have cryptocurrency. They have the Darknet. They have a global network of money mules and digital wallets. But Los Chapitos aren't just using technology for logistics and finance. They're using it for something equally important: propaganda and recruitment. In 2005, a torture video appeared on YouTube showing a cartel member interrogating and torturing four rivals. It was the first major social media event of the Mexican drug war. It imitated the style of Al-Qaeda propaganda, and it sparked a phenomenon that continues to this day. Today, cartel members post constantly on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and Twitter. They show off their money, their cars, their weapons, their violence. They document murders on smartphones. They post videos of beheadings. They create fan pages celebrating cartel culture. Jose Rodrigo Arachiga Gamboa, known as Chino Antrax, was the head of Los Antrax, a killer commando for Sinaloa Cartel. On Instagram, under the handle Meow5_7, he posted photos of himself on yachts in Monaco wearing Louis Vuitton, living the jet-set lifestyle. He also posted videos of himself in full camouflage with assault rifles alongside high-ranking cartel members. The cartel uses social media for recruitment. They use it to intimidate rivals. They use it to glorify the narco lifestyle and attract young people into their organization. They use it to spread propaganda claiming they're the good guys protecting society from corrupt government forces. The Knights Templar cartel leader La Tuda regularly posts PR videos on YouTube and get hundreds of thousands of views. The Sinaloa Cartel use YouTube to document aid they deliver to areas destroyed by storms. They even opened an Instagram channel for a while. And here's what's crucial. Social media platforms have been largely unable or unwilling to stop this. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, they all have policies against cartel content, but enforcement is inconsistent. The content spreads faster than it can be removed, and the cartel simply creates new accounts when old ones are taken down. Los Chapitos have essentially weaponized social media. They've turned it into a recruitment tool, a propaganda machine, and a way to maintain their brand identity across the digital landscape. So here we are. Silicon Valley has created the most sophisticated, most efficient, most innovative technological infrastructure in human history. And Los Chapitos have weaponized it. The encrypted messaging apps that protect journalists and activists, Los Chapitos uses them to coordinate murders. The Darknet that provides privacy for political dissidents, Los Chapitos uses it to sell fentanyl. The cryptocurrency that was supposed to democratize finance and banking, Los Chapitos uses it to launder billions in drug proceeds. The ride-sharing apps that were supposed to create economic opportunity, Los Chapitos uses them to distribute narcotics. The social media platforms that were supposed to connect humanity, Los Chapitos uses them to recruit killers and spread propaganda. This is the unsettling paradox of our time. The same technologies that have the potential to liberate humanity are being used to enslave it. The same innovations that were supposed to make the world more transparent are being used to hide the most brutal crimes. And here's what's truly terrifying. Los Chapitos are ahead of law enforcement. They're innovating faster. They're adapting quicker. They're understanding the digital landscape better than the agencies tasked with stopping them. The FBI has a handful of cyber specialists. Los Chapitos has an entire generation of digitally native cartel members. The DEA is still trying to figure out how to monitor encrypted communications. Los Chapitos is already 3 steps ahead, using new technologies that haven't even been discovered yet. So what does the future hold? If current trends continue, Los Chapitos will become even more sophisticated, even more dangerous, even more difficult to stop. They're already experimenting with artificial intelligence. They're using facial recognition technology to identify informants and rivals. They're using drone technology for surveillance and delivery. They're exploring blockchain technology for supply chain management. Some security experts believe that within the next 5 years, Los Chapitos will have developed autonomous delivery systems, drones and robots that can move product without any human intermediaries. Imagine a future where fentanyl is delivered by drone to your neighborhood, where the cartel has zero human footprint, where law enforcement has no one to arrest, Others worry about the intersection of cartel operations and emerging technologies like deepfakes and synthetic media. Imagine cartel propaganda that's indistinguishable from reality. Imagine videos of government officials that are completely fabricated but impossible to detect. The technological arms race between Los Chapitos and law enforcement is only going to intensify, and right now the cartel is winning. So what's the solution? How do we address this unsettling paradox? Some argue for stronger encryption regulation, but that would undermine privacy for everyone, not just criminals. Some argue for stricter social media moderation, but that raises questions about free speech and censorship. Some argue for cryptocurrency regulation, but that would undermine the financial innovation that cryptocurrency represents. The truth is, there's no easy answer. We can't uninvent encryption. We can't shut down the Darknet. We can't ban cryptocurrency. These technologies are here to stay, and they're fundamentally important for privacy, freedom, and innovation. What we can do is acknowledge the reality. Los Chapitos have become a tech-savvy criminal empire. They've mastered the digital landscape. They've weaponized Silicon Valley's innovations, and they're using those innovations to traffic drugs, launder money, recruit killers, and spread propaganda. The gleaming towers of Silicon Valley were built on the promise of innovation and progress. But that same innovation has been turned into a tool of brutality and death. That's the unsettling paradox we have to grapple with. Los Chapitos didn't just adapt to the digital age. They mastered it. And until we understand that, until we acknowledge that the same technologies that liberate us can also enslave us, we'll never be able to stop them. This has been Narco-Influence, the Silicon Valley connections to Los Chapitos' empire. Now, the questions we need to answer are, how can law enforcement keep pace with criminal innovation? Should encryption be regulated to combat organized crime? What responsibility do tech companies have in preventing cartel use of their platforms? Is the war on drugs approach effective in the digital age? If you found this video informative, please subscribe to our channel for more deep dives into organized crime, true crime investigations, and the intersection of technology and criminal enterprise. Hit the notification bell to stay updated on new releases. Thank you for watching.